Was good, yeah. This is a bit different. I'm actually stepping away from the computer and I wanted to have a conversation with you guys. I saw a video last night, EA Ski, Bolo the producer, and they were talking about industry standards. Bolo the producer made a video on Pro Tools. Is it even industry standard? And a lot of people chimed in on that conversation, and I kind of wanted to jump in as a mix engineer. This is something that I talk about all the time, you know. I am a Pro Tools user. I've been using Pro Tools since version 5, so it's been a long time. You know, I'm a PC user. I do have a couple of Macs laying around here, but I love working inside of Windows. That's just my preference. One of the things that came up is how PCs back then were so horrible. They were. You know, I started before Windows 98, so when Pro Tools was introduced, you know, I got my hands on a free version. They had a free version. DigiDesign did that back in the day. And the free version had its limitations, but it was still horrible. Then I got the, you know, I think the Focusrite M box, I believe. I don't even remember. It's been so long. And yeah, then we went to the blue boxes, and here we are all these years later, right? So Pro Tools and Windows has always been a shit show. Like, let's be real. It's horrible. Today, I mean, we still got our problems, but we got so many other DAWs, and that's what they were talking about. What is industry standard? EA Ski made a point. Industry standard to everybody, that's something different. Everybody got their own industry standard. I do know Pro Tools like the back of my hand. And but I also know other DAWs like Luna, which is one of my favorites. I know Reaper, Studio One. We could go on, but the main DAW is Pro Tools for me. Is it industry standard? Well, it depends on what you're doing, right? If you're going to work in Hollywood, they're gonna use Pro Tools. I'm not saying they don't use Logic. I'm sure they do. Specifically for the production side of things, Pro Tools, I don't care. It might have got better now, but when it came to MIDI functionality, it was horrible. It just sucked all around. Open a Artaz or, you know, AAX plugin, the thing just crashes on you, right? Some of these instruments are so demanding. But back then, you know, we had like, I remember I was, what you call it, co-edit and stuff like that. But on the recording side, and they just worked. Back then we had Pentium 2s, Pentium 3s, single core, couple of 100 megabytes of RAM. Yes, you heard me correctly. You know, I come from that era, the Pentium 2 and before that, you know. So when Pro Tools arrived on the scene, it wasn't great. You open a few tracks, the computer would freeze. Try bouncing a song. Oh my God, it would take forever. Back to the original original question, let's say, what is industry standard? Again, if you're going to do film, industry standard, a lot of these commercial studios are going to have Pro Tools, like, hands down. There was a time when it was nothing but Pro Tools sessions, and then I started diving into the, you know, the reggaeton, the Spanish trap, and it's all FL Studio. So I ended up getting a copy of FL Studio. I purchased it, and mind blown, because what that, you know, DAW you could do. FL Studio is also known as Fruity Loops. A lot of people hated that name. I'm assuming that's why they changed it. So never really got into it, never really liked it. I'm more of a Reason dude on the production side of stuff, which also they came with Record, which is awesome. But Reaper came along. And to me personally, Reaper could actually stand with any DAW you throw at it because it's so customizable. But some people say that that's its downside, right? Or its downfall, that you could do so many things. As with Pro Tools, it's so damn old, and the functions are just, right now they're starting to like bring stuff in, but they're still behind. You know, it's been doing the same thing for years. It's a system where it's good for recording music, right? People mixing it. But other than that, those are the two things that Pro Tools you really use it for. You either mix music or you're recording, right? When people are recording like bands and stuff, they're not really doing the MIDI stuff in Pro Tools. They're always recording everything live, right? That has changed. Now you got the MIDI capability. It sucks. You know, one thing that I heard these guys talking about, why did Pro Tools become industry standard? Because, you know, somebody mysteriously, you know, made it industry standard, or the big studios. Actually, that's not it. I have a different take on this. I personally know where Pro Tools, regardless of its feature sets, where Pro Tools shines compared to all the other DAWs at the time. Today, different world. DSP. Back then, there was no way you could record a huge band, right? with all these plugins and overdub. You just couldn't. The DSP would definitely allow you to do that. Literally, you could, if you ever recorded like on an HD or farm, whatever you call them, the mix systems back in the days, you could literally track through plugins. At zero latency, you could not do that with any computer at the time. Don't say that you could have, because you couldn't. That's I personally think, and correct me if I'm wrong, anybody watching this, that's what made Pro Tools stand out, the capability of doing stuff like that. For example, if you were going to do a big film, I know guys will hook up 2 or 3 HD systems together. You could link them up, which was a pain in the rear, and the recall could take forever. I don't know if you guys been through that, where you got a large session, you open it on one of those rigs, and it just taking its time loading. But that, I think, is the only thing that it really has over anyone else. And now you have the Mac, the M1, M2, M3s, or whatever they have now. What you could do on those things is mind-blowing. My computer has 20-something cores, 32 gigs of RAM, and no HD rig could come close to that machine. Like, I opened sessions from those days, and my computer barely breaks a sweat. I mean, at all. Back then in the Pentium 3, Pentium 4 era, my computer would error out all the time because it couldn't handle the load of the complexity of the session. So that to me, yeah, that's where it kind of maybe made a name for itself, that you could do those things. But here's another thing. What about the home user? That's a whole different conversation, because now the home user isn't really going to afford, to spend $20,000, $30,000 into a basic HD rig. Yeah, you had those guys that had them at home too, right? But the normal dude isn't going to do it. I was working off a Pro Tools LE system forever. And with all the limitations I worked the limitations, especially with delay compensation, which is a freaking huge problem. Nobody really talks about that anymore, right? But delay compensation was like one of the last features that they added that, completely blew my mind, because they're like, now I don't have to do all this weird stuff. Yes, they unlinked the hardware. Thank God they did that. I'm telling you, it was a thing. Is Reaper better? Yeah, I think Reaper can definitely hold his own. My choice, if I could move right now, would be Luna. Luna is an amazing DAW. I've been mixing in Luna lately. Let me tell you why I haven't made the move. Audio Suite. Audio Suite is important. The minute they add that into Luna, it might be a problem, because then now I could do all of these cool effects. Because in Audio Suite, you guys know it as Pro Tools users, the stuff that you can do there is phenomenal. So, yeah, I know Studio One could do it, Reaper can do it, but, again, those DAWs, they're awesome. But lately, Luna has really been becoming my thing. And you know how much it costs us? It's free. Compared to the amount of money that I'm paying for Pro Tools a year. The early 2000s, they're gone. You know what I'm saying? This is a new era, and we gotta go. We gotta go with the flow. But anyway, later, guys.